on my mic. Okay, I'm good.
Here we go. Sunday. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of True Story Live. This will be the last True Story Live in the month of April, as May is upon us. So we look forward to springing. The weather's a little warmer, and I'm sure some people will still have some cold weather. But right now, today, here, it's been beautiful today. So I hope it's also beautiful where you are. Tonight's topic is Fear and Courage, Concealed Passion. This one was written by our producer and friend Glenn. And so we'll dig into that in just a minute. But first, I'll say hello to the rest of the panel, starting with my wonderful, cozy, super beautiful, intelligent wife, Jen.
Hey, good to be here. Good night, guys. Good to be here. I'm blushing, but you guys can't see, so that's okay.
There you go. Yeah, it's nothing but audio here. I don't think I'd do a show if there was cameras on me the whole time. I'd be like nervous about what I look like, and I'd like be primping and stuff. And no, just the voice. That's it.
Did you say primping?
Primping. Yeah.
I thought only girls did that.
No, I've seen other people. Luke did it. He would primp. He would like get a comb and he was pretty proud of it too. He was just like, comb his hair and stuff.
Shouldn't it be called something different for guys? If it's primp for girls, maybe like promp for guys. Promp. Prump. I need a prump.
It's possible. I don't know.
Anyway, go on.
I don't know. Oh, well, I'm glad you're here, Jen.
Me too.
You bring a lot to the broadcast, and it's never been the same without you before.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm glad
I'm glad to be here.
Glad you decided to stick around. Also, we'll say hello to the producer and writer for tonight's show and many other things to us. He's a good friend and will always be, and we welcome him to the broadcast. How are you doing, Glenn?
Good. No worries. It's winter coming.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about springing, and how indelicate of me not to remember that you're in a completely different part of the country.
The world.
Country. But don't think I live in the USA. No, I couldn't bear it. The ultimate insult.
Cracking me up.
Hi, everyone.
So how long what is it, 3 months of winter there?
What do you think?
Yeah, about 3 months.
May, June, July, but it's probably coldest in July. But today's probably, I don't know, 70 outside in your lingo.
Yeah, in our lingo. So what's cold there to you? Like how, in our lingo, what is the coldest it gets there?
20.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about the same.
Which isn't that cold compared with what I've been in at times. So
yeah,
it's pretty easy to
Japan.
deal with. Northern Finland, places like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Ooh, cold.
So where I was born, the area where I was born in Michigan, they have below zero weather sometimes, but generally in the depth of winter or the coldest part of winter, it's around that same thing, between 0 and 20. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right, that's our weather report. Coming to you with traffic. We have Bob. Bob, tell us how traffic is in the middle of the valley.
Who's
There's
Bob?
no traffic. There's no traffic here. We don't have traffic. We don't have cars. Only horses and carts.
That's
Donkeys.
awesome.
It's going to be a good broadcast, guys. It's
Yeah.
going to be a good one. Okay, let's say hello to the people in the chat, Jen, if you don't mind.
Oh, hold on. I switched to the right up. Live chat. All right. I'm going to scroll to the top and do it backwards this time because I'm always doing it the other way.
Yeah.
All right. We've got Miss Celine. More Than a Flame. Hey, how's it going? Liam, Stephanie, Mr. Glenzo. Jaylyn is here in the chat with us tonight. So glad she's here. And that is it so far.
Okay, great. Yeah, as more people come in, we'll try to notice you and say hello. But we're glad for those that are here already. And if you're listening to the playback, please think about joining us in the chat. Our chiropractor, if she's listening, I'll say hello to her, Dr. Stewart.
Dr. Stewart.
And she listens to the broadcast. She's not ever in the chat. That's okay. But she tells us that she listens to the broadcast because my voice puts her to sleep, which is a compliment. I think it's great. Actually, I started another YouTube channel. I haven't done anything on it, but Jen was encouraging me to. My voice has that calming quality to it, apparently. Mm-hmm. And it's called Dr. Sleep is the name of the YouTube channel. And the idea was to read stories that would help people fall asleep that are dealing with insomnia or just need help falling asleep.
Yeah.
Read stories and stuff.
I still think you should do it.
Yeah. Well, I got the channel set up, so I should probably do something with it. All right. Before we get going, we'd like to remind everyone about our Tuesday. I don't even know what do we call them. What do we call Tuesday? What is it? I want to say.
That's that's a horrible name though.
I know.
Just straight up meeting. We'll have to come up with a name and get back to people.
Gathering, get together.
Yeah.
Soiree. It's not quite a party. There could be lots of
frolic. No. That's not the right word. Never mind.
Frolicking. Anyway, we'll think of a word for it. But on Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, there are a few of us that get together and we just talk. And we've done it. I think what 3 times? I think we've done it so far. Does that seem right? 3 times?
I thought it was twice, but maybe I'm. No, I think it was 3.
I think it was 3. Anyway, if you'd like to join us, you can. How you join is just by expressing your interest, and you can send an email to truestorylive.crips@gmail.com. I've got like 5 emails, and I just for a second couldn't remember what the email address was. truestorylive.crips@gmail.com. Let us know that you have an interest in joining, and I'll make sure to get a link to you. We actually had Journey's Wake ask for a link, which I sent to him. And he wasn't able to make it. He told me he was working and would only be able to make like the last half hour anyway, but I told him to come on. So Journey's Wake, if you're listening, feel free to join us. You can use that link and we'll let you in, and anyone else that wants to join. And I'll say a quick hello to the More Than Flames because he hasn't been here in a while. It's good to see you, bro. Hope everything's all right with you. And welcome. All right, we're going to get started. All right, so the topic for tonight is fear and courage, concealed passion. Starts with a quote. It is obvious that we can no more explain a passion to a person who has never experienced it than we can explain light to the blind. And that one's from T.S. Eliot. Life is not straight lines. It's curveballs, entangled thoughts, and one huge mystery. The grand design, whether by evolution or creation, handed us existence. We're thinking, feeling, and emotional beings. We're thinking, feeling, and emotional beings. With all that comes, the mandatory highs and lows, it is what it is. That said, I believe the song choice for this evening is Anything You Wish It to Be. So poignant. And the link is in the description. And the name of this one is Concealed Passion. It's described as serious romantic piano theme, layers with somber strings for a heart-wrenching intro. Dramatic yet tender orchestra swells with brass and cymbal crashes for a sweeping epic climax. It's from the Audiomachine album Belle Epoque. Definitions for tonight. Fear is when we make a choice to step back from our truth because we're embarrassed, don't wish to cause hurt to others, and or be rejected and feel alone and isolated for speaking. Oh, that's good. Courage, the opposite of fear, is when we take our truth and willingly share and enact that truth, regardless of any perceived consequences or negative feedback for doing so. Concealed passion means all those desires, thoughts, interests, wishes, and wants that you hold dear, but either don't acknowledge or allow the outside world to see. Studies show that harmonious passion for something we enjoy doing or being involved with has a beneficial effect upon us and our relationships. Conversely, obsessive passion or compulsive, out of control involvement is destructive to self and relationships because of its addictive nature. Maybe everything is too hard, too risky, too busy, too effortful, or perhaps being passionate is irrelevant. Only you can know. Why might we reject passion generally or choose not to follow that path? My mother, bless her, always used to tell me that one can live passionately in their mind, even if those passions are not requited. To be honest, I'm not sure if that always works. Thoughts? And another quote, keeping passion at bay or surrendering blindly to it. Which of these two attitudes is the less destructive? Poilo colo. Ooh, that's a deep quote. Brain engaged. What do you think? Moving on. Some examples of harmonious passion are 1. Caring and empathy towards others, etc. Anything from family to volunteer. 2. Interests, hobbies, etc. Anything from basket weaving to bungee. 3. Achievement, career and personal goals. Anything from a job to running a marathon. 4. Learning and education. Anything from reading the Bible to a PhD in astrophysics. I like that one. 5. The environment and animals. Anything from loving a lizard to planting trees. 6. Creativity. Anything from photographing a butterfly to baking a velvet cake. 7. Family. Anything from flying a kite with the kids to holding hands when they pass. 8. Relationships. Anything from watching TV together to hazy nights. 9. Interaction and communication. Anything from a smile to being vulnerable. 10. Beliefs and faith. Anything from Hamza to a cross. All right, great. Any more you can think of, want to disclose? There could be a million scenarios regarding passion, so we'll pick one and let you pick some more if you wish. Mr. and Mrs. X is passionate about cats. They love being around cats, interacting with them. Cats give meaning to their life. They live in a lovely apartment, which is an inheritance from their parents. However, there's a sign on the door which says, "No pets allowed." What to do? Leave to be with your cats or conceal and try to deny what brings meaning to your life? Maybe this is not so much about courage or fear. Maybe courage and fear working together is necessary for us to be who we are. Should we conceal or should we reveal? This evening is an introduction, a precursor to our upcoming series of shows, collectively titled An Unfinished Life. A paradigm shift from our usual topics it will be. Please stay tuned as we're dedicating the next shows to a TSL listener. And another quote, everything tells me that I am about to make a wrong decision, but making mistakes is just part of life. What does the world want of me? Does it want me to take no risks, to go back to where I came from because I don't have the courage to say yes to life? Paulo Coelho. TSL will be asking, what expectations do you have of yourself? What do you want for yourself? So that'll be a question for you guys to think about and answer. And I'll go over that again toward the end. Very good write-up, and I'm very interested to see what some of the answers will be. As always, in the chat, if you want to put your comments in there, please put them in caps. Stephanie is probably the perfect example of this. She almost always puts her comments in caps, which is great, because that tells me that she has a lot to say and doesn't mind if they're read. We won't read all of them probably, but we will try to peruse the chat from time to time. If you leave a comment that you would like us to share publicly, please do so. You are more than welcome to do that. All right, so we'll come to our first question, and I love that Glenn does this. He highlights the questions and puts them in different colors between quotes and definitions and all that, and I think it's wonderful. Makes it easy as the host to be able to see things, and I don't think it's that hard. Maybe when I'm doing the write-ups, maybe I should learn how to highlight the questions too.
That would be a good idea.
I'm sure I'm capable of doing that. I want
Glenn.
other people to do it though.
What? Glenn will do it for you.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Master of the highlighter.
All right. So the last sentence before the first question, maybe everything is too hard, too risky, too busy, too effortful, or perhaps being passionate is irrelevant. Only you can know. So after that, the first question is, why might we reject passion generally or choose not to follow that path? Now, I'm sure everyone remembers the definitions, but I'll go over them briefly. Fear is when we make a choice to step back from our truth because we're embarrassed, don't wish to cause hurt to others, and or be rejected and feel alone and isolated for speaking. Courage is defined as being the opposite of fear, is when we take our truth and willingly share and enact that truth, regardless of any perceived consequences or negative feedback for doing so. And then the last one, concealed passion, means all those desires, thoughts, interests, wishes, and wants that you hold dear, but either don't acknowledge or allow the outside world to see. Okay, so those are the definitions we're dealing with for the topics for tonight. So the first question, why might we reject passion generally or choose not to follow that path? And I'm gonna flip the script here. I'm gonna go to Glenn first on this one. No warning or anything except for that last sentence. So Glenn, why might we reject passion generally or choose not to follow that path, if you don't mind, sir?
Yeah. I hadn't even thought about these. I just write the thing.
That's great. Well, it's like a cold read without.
Yeah, and you dump me right in it. Even me just having a rest.
Ice bucket challenge.
Oh, do you want to go, Jen?
Before you answered, Glenn stayed up got up at 3 a.m. to finish the write-up, which we really appreciate. But
Yeah.
I'm sure we would understand if he was a little bit punchy this morning. Not saying he will be, but we would understand. So we can give you a rest on that, Glenn. I can go first unless you're ready, Jen.
Oh, you can go first.
Okay. Why might we reject passion generally or choose not to follow that path? Well, I think one of the biggest things is the fear factor. And it makes sense that you would give the definition for that, because that's definitely something I feel like a lot of people deal with.
Yep.
I've dealt with it myself. I think each person is given different gifts. And if you're aware of what some of your gifts are, there's still a fear that comes along with it. It's something that has to be overcome. So I think the biggest reason in my mind would be fear that would keep someone from following that path or choosing not to follow. It could be anything. It could be fear of failing at whatever the passion is, fear of not being recognized for that passion. It's really the biggest reason I can think of. As far as other reasons, maybe a person doesn't think it's worth it, to follow a passion. I know for me, there's been a few things that I set aside that I would consider a passion that I thought, it boils down to fear, I guess, but there was a part of me that thought I would be disappointed if I ever achieved this thing. It'd be more engaging for me to have it be a passion, an unrequited passion, because I got something out of that, having this thing that
in your mind,
in my mind, that I thought about and dreamed about. And then what if I actually achieved it and the result was disappointing? It didn't match up to what I had made it in my mind. So for me, that's another reason. But like I said, it ultimately boils down to fear as the main component, I think, with that too. Anyway, I'm not gonna try to go on too long with my answer. So what about you, Jen? Why might we reject passion generally or choose to not follow that path? What do you think?
I tend to think that, or about the perspective of it not being acceptable, your passion,
Right.
by the people around you. And if you're a people pleaser, or, someone who doesn't want to rock the boat or
Right.
put themselves first at all, because this is what happened to me. I put all my dreams on the back burner,
Right.
for somebody else.
Right.
And I felt like I was dying, it creatively,
Right.
from a creative perspective. And that's
Sure.
a big part of who I am. So, that's can be really, really bad, for
Yeah.
lack of a better phrase.
So how do you feel now that you don't have to do that anymore? That if you wanted to follow your passions, you don't have to keep those to yourself anymore. You can follow that path if you want to. How does that feel?
I'll be honest, it feels good, but I'm still working on, like, maybe my subconscious realizing that I'm not in that place anymore.
Sure. Sure.
Because the creativity, the stuff I denied myself, it I don't want to say like 100% got erased,
Right.
but it was almost like I started, associating negative feelings
Yeah.
toward it.
Hmm.
So now that I'm in a place where I can express myself creatively, there's
Hmm.
still a part of me that's stuck in it, the negative, there being something negative attached to it. And so I'm
Sure.
working on that.
Well, no, thank you for sharing that. I think that that's important for this conversation because if a person has a passion and they hold it back for a long time, it can be even harder later
Hmm.
to bring it out. Not impossible, but
Yeah.
um, the encouragement for people would be to, if you have something you're passionate about, and this is for me, everyone else can answer themselves, but for me, my encouragement would be to express those passions. And I think it's one of the points of the write-up too, to express your passions, whatever they might be, and not to worry about your own fear or how people will receive it.
Hmm.
That it's important to being a human, living in this world. These passions are important, not just for you, but for other people. Holding it back, I think, is can be a crime.
Yeah. I'd agree.
What do you think, Glenn? And then we'll get to Stephanie's comment in the chat. Why
Yeah,
might we
sure.
reject passion generally or choose not to follow that path?
Well, I agree with what each of you guys said, but I think it can make you very vulnerable or feel very vulnerable.
Sure.
I'm sure that's related to the fear factor, but there's so much, I think, apprehension about sharing stuff, just for the simple reason is the feedback you get may not
Yeah.
be what you expect, and that can be hurtful. But the question's always going to be, who cares what someone else says?
Right.
Yeah.
As you know, that I would say that, but so yeah, I think that's it. I think it's all based on the internal mindset that you have
Yeah.
about fear,
Yeah.
as you said,
Yeah.
100%. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Glenn. For me, I'll just give one example before we move on. I wanted to be an actor from an early age, among other things. I wanted to be in radio but acting and directing and writing. And these are all things I didn't hold my passion back for acting. I was in my first play in second grade, and I played Tiny Tim. Believe it or not, I was that small when I was young. I played Tiny Tim in A Christmas Carol, and it was at our church private school, so it wasn't this huge, big production where 30,000 people came to watch or anything. But for me, it was a big deal. And from there on, I did lots of plays as often as I could. And later it turned into, writing plays and directing and I had some success locally with that. So I don't feel like in that area I held back on my passions. But then I would ask myself, how much further could I have gone if I had taken it, if I'd done everything I could do in my passion? would it have gone beyond some local success? I'll never know that because I never took it that far.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, it's my fault. I know that ultimately, but I didn't get a lot of support from my family. In fact, I may have shared the story before, but one of the first plays that I auditioned for that was not a school play. This was a well-known community theater that was doing a production, and I was 17. And my parents let me go audition, and I made it. And when I came back and told them that I made it, they were disappointed. And I was kind of confused as to why they were disappointed. And they explained to me that, oh, we didn't think you'd make it. And I'll never forget that. As long as I live, as old as I get, I will never forget my parents saying that. What the message to me was that they didn't believe in me.
Yeah.
From the get-go. And then when I made it, they were disappointed because that meant that they had to allow me to drive a long way to go to plays, and it was going to take up my time and things like that. I would have liked to have had them say, "Oh my gosh, Jason, that's great. Wow, we believed in you, and you can do this. And what can we do to help you follow this passion of yours?"
Yeah.
Now, that's dreamy dreamland for me. That never happened. And then even as I got older, my mom was a little bit more supportive in some ways, but she was mad at me for doing plays when I should be working. And she said that several times. At least she came to the shows right up to the time that she died. She came to every show, unless I said, "You're not going to want to see this," like it might have something in it that she would react to negatively. Now, this all me talking about this isn't woe is me, look how terrible my parents were. The point I'm making is it does affect you what other people say, especially people that are important in your life. It affects you.
Yeah.
And it could be the beginning of fear for you in a certain area. But regardless, like Glenn said, regardless of what other people say or what other people are going to think, you can't let someone make a comment to you like that keeps your passion at bay, in my opinion. I wish that I did know how far I could have taken it, just so I can say that I did, that I pursued it with everything, and then happy with the result, whatever it would have been. But I can't say that. I think that's tragic. And I think that would be tragic for anyone that had a passion that decided not to follow it.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you for indulging me, guys. I know I took that a lot longer than I needed to, but there it is.
No, it was good.
That was good,
Okay.
Krebs.
Good sharing.
Good. That was good because what you're saying is that the role models that we've been set and the attitudes of people we interact with can have such a huge bearing on how we deal with our own passions.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Stephanie says it's also because of past failures, in answer to the first question. Why
Yeah.
might we reject passion generally or choose not to follow that path? And then she backed it up by saying, which is still fear. Well, and you're right. It is. The fear is at the core of everything, I think, in this particular topic. It might be painted a different way. It might mean something else to you, but at the bottom of it, it seems to me like it is fear. Why else would you let anyone keep you from following your passion if fear was not involved in some way? So thank you for that, Stephanie. And
Chris, sorry.
Yep. No, go ahead.
Liam said he's passionate about cosplay. I'd love to know how Liam would or does react if people attempt to not take him down, but well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Say, well, that's a heap of garbage, or they could say anything derogatory.
Yeah.
I just wonder how, from his perspective, that you how you deal with that.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Swab it off or take it to heart.
Yeah. Yeah. And if people are negative, do you get something out of that? That's my follow-up question. Do you get something out of knowing that there are people out there that would talk negatively about cosplay? That's another thing to answer. You can put it in the chat, Liam, if you'd like to, if you feel comfortable doing that, your answer to Glenn's question and my follow-up question, if you'd like to. We'd be happy to hear from you on this. Okay, so the next one, I don't see any other comments capitalized for me in there. So my mother, bless her, always used to tell me that one can live passionately in their mind, even if those passions are not requited. To be honest, I'm not sure if that always works. What do you think, Jen? Do you think that
No.
works? Okay.
I'm very passionate about you saying no to this. Oh man. And I will say this, in 14 years of me hitching my kite to someone else's cart and thinking I could be passionate and fulfilled by being alongside someone else who is living their dream
Yeah.
and it be enough for me. It wasn't enough for me. But the other thing I'll say is that I think partially what helped me survive was having my imagination and having the ability to live passionately in my mind when I didn't really have
Yeah.
a lot of people around me or a situation or atmosphere around me that cultivated that part of me.
Yeah.
So a little bit of, but I still say no. Because even though I'm grateful for that
Yeah.
experience and being able to be passionate within my heart and my mind and like my prayer life, um, it did really hurt me in some unexplainable ways to not be able to act that out,
Yeah.
and to walk that out in my everyday life. So that's my answer.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate that. I would tend to agree with you. In the Shawshank Redemption, there's a lot said. Morgan Freeman doing the voice, which I can't really imitate him very well, so I'm not going to try. But he's talking about Andy Dufresne, the main character, and talking about the walls just couldn't keep him in his mind. And other movies have talked about that, people in prison and talking about them going in their imagination and being somewhere else. And it's also something that people have done when they're experiencing some kind of traumatic moment. They think of being somewhere else, and they do it in
Dissociate.
this. Well, yeah, but it's for protection, but still, you're going somewhere else in your mind for a purpose. And if you're in a prison of some sort, I mean, that would make sense. If you can't go out and follow your passions, you do the best you can with what you have. But I would say that there are parts of this world that are a prison. But again, for me, it comes down to you can't let that stop you from, in whatever way you can, expressing your passion, whatever it might be. So I would say too, I would agree with you, Jen, that you can do that. You can live in your mind. You can live your passion in your mind. That's what I was mentioning with my passion. Some of my passion is living there in my mind, and how disappointed I'd be if it didn't live up, if I actually fall through.
Yeah.
But I regret that. That's a regret to me. So even though you can do it, I don't think it always works either. I agree with what Glenn said in the write-up. I think it's a shame to do that. Whatever a passion is, it seems like, again, and I agree with Glenn, whether it's universe or evolution, whichever way you decide to look at it, you've been given a gift. If you're passionate about anything, or you have any gifts or talents or abilities, and most people do, you are doing a disservice to yourself and to the world by not engaging in that.
Yeah.
Just my opinion. Okay, Glenn, what about this one? I know you're the one that wrote it, and it is a story from your mother, and you kind of made it clear in the comment. I believe you made it clear by saying, I'm not sure that always works, but you'd care to expound on that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I know. Well, to be honest with you, I think my mum told me this when I was older, and she said she knew someone in a past life, and then she married my dad. I'm just not talking out of turn, but I mean, but I think she carried that passion in her mind, and so the opportunity, because this was during the war, and this particular person was killed. I think out in the Pacific somewhere. I can't recall exactly, but that's the gist of the story. So I think she lived with that in her mind forever.
Yeah.
But it was, of course, unable to be requited. So I thought, Okay, but what if? So I think you can certainly live in your mind, but the question is, what do you do if you have the opportunity to requite it, but you choose not to take it?
Yeah. Wow.
That's where I'm
Yeah.
saying I'm not sure if it always works, because
Right.
it's way different, isn't it? As you said,
Yeah.
if you're in a concentration camp and you can't get out, well, obviously,
Yeah.
you've got to do something. But
Right.
in this
How
situation, oh, sorry.
how are you using the word requited? Because when I think of that word, I think of requited love.
Yeah,
So
well,
in this
that's
particular
essentially what it is in this circumstances. In this circumstance with my mum, this is how it is. Yes.
but with this particular topic tonight, what do you mean by that? Like
Well,
meaning that having a passion, but
it's a concealed passion, isn't it? Which is, in her case, unable to be requited because
okay,
that person is dead.
yeah,
Right. She'll never be able to experience getting it back.
She was
Requited.
never able to. So, but
yeah,
she
Right.
could
and I
still live with it passionately in her mind. But
yeah,
but what if that person hadn't died and had come back after the war? Then you had the opportunity to get together, but you chose to either do it or you chose not to.
yeah.
Right.
And I get it with love relationships, but when it comes to passions, meaning separate from relationships,
Well, it could be any passion.
um,
I
oh
mean,
no,
we're
no.
just using this as an illustration.
So I'm just saying, requited in this particular topic would be if you have a passion, you just don't do it. It's not done, right? That's what you're saying.
Not
You're
required.
not
Yeah,
doing your
that's right.
passion.
It's if you haven't fulfilled the passion that you're
Gotcha.
living in
Okay.
your mind.
Okay.
Either you're unable to, or you choose not to. If the
Yeah.
opportunity is there, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's,
So the definition of requite is to make appropriate return for a favor, service, or wrongdoing. To return a favor, respond to,
Respond to.
or return. She did not requite his love. That's the most common way it's used. So
Yeah.
I think Jen's just asking, like in this particular.
Just for clarification.
Yeah, just for clarification on how the word requite fits into that. So I think you get it.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, cool. Stephanie says in the chat, in answer, she asked me if I want an example, and I said, of course. And so she said, I was passionate about being married. After 4 failed marriages, I no longer view or want to follow that path. Yeah, I mean, I understand. I've been married twice, and the second one is a keeper. And Jen and I were talking about this today. A friend of their family that lost his first wife. Or Jen, why don't you tell that? I think it's worth sharing.
Yeah, we had a wonderful couple in our church, my parents' church, back when I was in youth group, and the wife Wanda was just this amazing woman, and they both were Tom and Wanda Sublet. And they wouldn't mind if I shared their last names. I don't think they listened, but
Right.
she worked with the youth group a lot. And we got to know her really, really well, and she had 3 young daughters, and she passed away pretty suddenly of cancer. And this was like in 1997, I think.
Okay.
And it just was so sudden, and everyone just loved her. You just couldn't help but love this woman. And her husband Tom has been single for a really long time. And just today, there was another lady at our church that was of the same age as Tom and his wife Wanda, and her daughter also went to youth group. And so when Wanda died, Carol and Tom have been friends, and they've known each other for a really, really long time through church. And over the past couple years, they've gotten to know each other more and decided to get engaged, and they just got married today. So it's just like a wonderful story of 2 people that have been dealt the blow of loss earlier in life and got a second chance at love, and are both just wonderful, wonderful people, and come from wonderful families too. And they're very cared about, and it just touches my heart.
Yeah. Great. Thank you for sharing that, Jen.
Yeah.
So in that particular case, you have a person that had a wonderful wife, and I'm sure he was very happy with her, and it gets taken early, and he went a long time without, remarrying anyone. And then later in life, he struck up a friendship with someone, and he probably wasn't even planning on that,
No, I don't think they
but
were.
it's something that happened to him, and he's taken advantage of it. So he's following a passion, and not holding back from that. And I think that he'll have a lot of benefit from that at the time that he has remaining in this world.
Yeah.
And more power to him. But Stephanie, I understand if all your experiences in those four, you use the word failed, and I'll bet you Glenn wouldn't like that, the use of the word failed, but that's the word you use. So 4 failed marriages. So I can completely understand from one perspective why you wouldn't want to follow that path. And I would say, especially right now, you didn't ask for this advice, but I would say right now, what you're going through, you should spend time working on yourself and healing and growing and changing and recovering from everything you've been through, because it's been a hard road from what I understand from your stories and what you've shared. And I would understand that you wouldn't even have that in your mind about another marriage, but who knows what'll happen is the point. Down the road, you could be in a completely different place, and you could meet someone else that's in a completely different place and maybe has been through some things themselves, and you could have another marriage. But it's totally up to you whether you follow that or not. But I completely understand why right now you'd be a little gun shy for sure. Okay. So we have this list now, Glenn. We didn't discuss this before the show. Do you want to just go through these 10 things really quickly and just talk about what each one means to us, or do we want to go run past that?
I think just go through it, and if anyone wants to make a comment or add to, feel free.
Okay.
Anything
Perfect.
that's particularly relevant to them, speak up, please. We want to hear it.
Yep. Okay, so number one, the first one is, and by the way, these are some examples of harmonious passion. So these are, I'm glad he put them in there. So the first one, caring and empathy towards others, etc., anything from family to volunteer.
Oh yeah.
Caring and empathy towards others, etc., anything from family to volunteer, as the first description of a harmonious passion. What do you think of that, Jen? Caring and empathy towards others, etc.
We were just talking about this today,
Mm-hmm.
about what I've been through and being able to be a part of some support groups and help other people that have gone through specific types of abuse, and being able to share with these people and also encourage them. They may be in a different part of it, kind of stuck in a bad place with somebody within a relationship. And being able to do that, I'm very, very passionate about that, because I feel like one of the reasons that we go through the hard stuff that we go through is so that we can let people know that we understand to a degree that some other people might not. Be more empathic with it.
Yeah.
And them not feel alone. I would have liked, I found these support groups after I got out of the situation I was in. I would have
Right.
died to have found one, at least even just one of these support groups while I was still in it,
Yeah.
because I just was so confused as to what was going on. It would have been nice to have someone to talk to that had some clarity.
Yeah, I think if you would have found that, you might have not stayed in the relationship as long. But you had your own little pair of, rather than a group, you had blend for sure, for the most part, in a way better than a group.
Oh yeah, wait.
Or-
Yeah, that's no comparison.
Yeah. Caring and empathy towards others. I think that when we learn things from life, even if we've gone through a hard time, I think we should give the gift of caring and empathy towards others regardless. But I think especially what we've been through, someone else going through it can learn from our advice and our wisdom. And I think we should share that with everyone. I don't think we should hold that as a passion. We should always be caring and empathetic towards others. I mean, we don't know what other people have been through, and you don't know that by a couple of kind words toward them or showing that you care or being empathetic towards them, you don't know what that can do to a person's life. It can be something that changes everything for them.
Yeah.
Jen mentioned the group. Victorious Voices is the group. So if you're experiencing any kind of, if you're recovering from narcissistic abuse, neglect, things like that, I would strongly suggest this particular group. I think it's very helpful, and they do pretty good about keeping people out that are in there to stir things up, and they're pretty good about that. So check it out on Facebook, Victorious Voices. It's very good. And even if you haven't been through it, I would suggest it to people, because everyone you know probably has experienced this in some way. Has been married or knows a family member of a narcissist that has abused them in some way.
Yeah.
So you can have a better understanding of what other people have gone through, even if you haven't experienced yourself. But I doubt there's a person listening that doesn't know somebody who engages in this stuff.
Yeah.
All right, Glenn, what about your comment on this, caring and empathy towards others, etc.? Anything from family to volunteer?
Yeah, I'll just say that, look, I'll use an example. I didn't understand, or was probably not very empathic towards people with disabilities because I had no experience with having that. But Sandra strokes out, you're trying to push a wheelchair through a crowd, and you see another person in a wheelchair having the same problem. It sure changes your attitude.
Sure.
In an instant, because you relate to it, and that's exactly what Jen said. I think I agree with. I think having the experience of seeing others, and it can be within your family, etc. Look, whatever, it just makes you more, I think, open to wanting to put yourself out there and say, well, look, anything I can do. Can I help you across the road to the lady who's trying to carry the groceries? But I think it just generally opens you up.
Right.
I think that can be a passion. I don't see why it wouldn't be.
Right.
Just to wanting to help others, it seems to be a pretty good thing to me. Be passionate about it, for sure.
I would agree.
Yep.
Thank you, Glenn. Stephanie said in the chat, I know you saw it, but I want to share it with everyone. She says some find themselves too caring and empathetic towards others and become used as a doormat. Do you have anything you would like to say to that?
Oh man, you have to find a balance.
Yeah.
Because I so know where you're coming from, Stephanie. It sucks, and I'm laughing. It's not funny at all. It sucks being a doormat and caring about people, and it's almost like you get this radar on your back, where unfortunately some people that like to exploit others see you coming a mile away. So the red flags that we talked about a couple of shows back is key, because then you can find out who the safe people are, to be a little more vulnerable when it comes to your empathy and not become a doormat. And if somebody, like what Glenn does, he does the opposite. He trusts people until they give him a reason not to. And if someone were to try to use Glenn as a doormat, he'd be out of there.
Yeah, he would.
And that's what we have to do. Get out of there.
Yeah.
Nope. Sorry. Bye.
Yeah, that's right.
But it does suck. It sucks when you've put your heart out there for people, thinking that that's going to change someone. I mean, I've been changed by love, by people showing me empathy. But not everybody responds to it. Some people don't respond. They actually exploit.
Right.
And it's sad.
Yeah, it is sad. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
And Stephanie, I would say, I understand where you're at right now. And I agree with Jen that it is a balance, but I think right now, again, I'm not saying don't be compassionate or caring toward anybody, but I'm saying right now, it's okay to just worry about yourself. It's that whole idea of the putting your own mask on first. When you heal and recover from what you've been through, I believe you'll get to the point where you can use what you've been through to help somebody else and be caring and empathetic in that way. In fact, I feel pretty strongly about this. So just give it some time and you'll get there, and then find that balance that Jen's talking about between being caring and empathetic because that's who you are, and then allowing people the opportunity to either take advantage of that in a good way or to exploit it, and then you're out. Just like Jen said Glenn would do. He'd be out of there. But it may take some time for you to get there. So give yourself grace in that area. And Jen is doing that too, learning how to give herself
Yep.
grace and not beat herself up for past stuff. I mean, she's been beat up on enough, and you don't need to do that to yourself anymore. Nobody needs to be beaten up on you at all. So that's my added bit there. Number 2, interest, hobbies.
Wait, Chris, do you mind if I say something, please?
Oh no, please.
No.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I think Stephanie, something's come out of what Stephanie said, and I think when you look at the person who would be caring and empathetic or etc., I think there's a couple of groups here. There's the first person who just does this out of the generosity of spirit, but there's the other person who does this with the motivation that they want a reward or recognition. I think that makes a big difference. And I think the person who is, just wanting someone to say, "Oh, you're wonderful," yada yada yada, I think they're more likely to be used as the doormat because they're willing to do whatever it needs to be done to get acknowledgement. Whereas the person who's just genuine and helps the lady across the road with the groceries and then gets on his bike and rides away doesn't need the lady to say, "Oh, thanks," whatever. Just does it and gets on with it. Right. Yeah. So I think that attitudinally that can be quite a difference as to the way this plays out. So
sure. Sure.
Okay.
So you're saying the intent of the person makes a huge difference. That's what I hear you saying.
I am saying that. I think because not all people do it. I want to just,
Oh, not all people show empathy out of a good heart. Is what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Good. Well
Okay.
put, Jen. You nailed it.
The other
It's
thing
false empathy, essentially, because it's almost narcissistic.
Well, it is, I think.
Yeah.
Now, would you say that someone who doesn't have like a self-identity or self-worth, who is being really helping of other people and giving to other people in order to get the external validation, do you think that's narcissistic?
Just say that again, please.
Like if you're someone who not the attaboys that you get from helping others, but you find your worth in helping others because it's external. It's external acknowledgement. It's external validation.
Sure.
You don't you're not talking about that, right? You're talking about something else.
I'm saying that I do think it is narcissistic because why are you doing this for the person? Are you doing this for yourself, or are you doing it for them? That because you think about it, how many people out there, they will deliberately go out of their way to help people, but they're really doing it for what they're going to get back. They're not doing it for what they give
I see
out.
What you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
It's not a free gift.
Right. Well, what you're talking about, that's a biblical thing as well. So your intent behind doing things, the idea that for instance, like people bragging about how good of a prayer they are and doing it so that everybody can see it. That's an example of what we're talking about. So it's the wrong reasons that people do certain things. So biblically speaking, the intent does enter into it. It's important to do things because you want to, and not for any kind of praise or gain in some way. And then what Jen's talking about, I understand, there are people out there that have low self-esteem and they get something out of someone saying, "Oh yeah," you seeing what they do and rewarding them with words or adulation and things like that. And they're doing it out of being needy, needing needing someone else to see and respond to what they're doing, and
or even being needed in general.
Right. And Jen, I don't think it is a kind of a narcissistic thing that they're doing, but I think it's more out of need, and it especially with low self-esteem, they may feel like they have to do that, like they need that adulation, and I would still say it's not the right intent to go
Yeah.
behind it for sure.
I think this what you said would be categorized under obsessive passion rather than harmonious passion.
Right.
Ah, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Next one, interest, hobbies, etc. Anything from basket weaving to bungee. I like that, basket weaving. I didn't do a whole basket, but I forget where I was, but I was someplace where they had arts and crafts. I think it was like a church camp. What do they call that? Vacation Bible school or something like that.
Yeah.
And I helped work on a basket, learn how to weave. I also used to, for money, I used to re-web lawn chairs. You know, with that, I think it's not.
Oh, yeah. Yep, the nylon webbing.
Yeah, I would nylon web the chairs for people. I forget what I charged, but I got paid for doing that. So anyway, yeah. So interest in hobbies being harmonious passion. I think that's a good example. Whatever your hobby is, you know, Glenn mentions basket weaving to bungee. Those are things if you're passionate about it. What I would like to do is parasail. I think that is looks fun to me.
Mm-hmm,
You know,
it is.
have a parachute and a boat pulling you, and you know you're high up and you can see everything. You're over the water too, so if something went wrong, you know you wouldn't plummet to your death. You know, that's my kind of interest or hobby. But it's anything that you can think of when someone says interest in hobbies. These are examples of harmonious passion for sure. What do you think, Jen? Interest, hobbies, etc. Anything from basket weaving to bungee.
What am I saying about this one?
Whatever you want. Yeah.
Okay.
Just,
Gosh, there's so many. What do I pick? Calligraphy.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about this one, but I do think it is important to have hobbies and interests.
Is it harmonious passion?
Harmonious passion. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, God gives us particular interests. And as we're growing up when we're young, we're feeling out what are our interests, what are the things that we think we might be interested in, but not so much.
Yeah.
I think it's a part of who we are, and having hobbies that tap into that harmonious passion is a good thing.
Yeah.
Healthy.
I wanted to be an artist. Actually, I wanted to, among other things I was doing, but I found out very quickly that it wasn't really a gift that I'd been given. I everything I drew always ended up being like a looking cartoonish. So at one point, I used to draw little cartoons for fun in school, pass them around, and people seemed to like them, but they weren't very well drawn. I was good with finding some humorous situation to draw about. This is neither here nor there, but there used to be a Miracle Whip commercial on a long time ago when I was a kid, and it was the guy always runs out of Miracle Whip, and then he would go to the store, and the store was closed, and he's like got his face pressed up against the door, looking inside with one hand on the glass, like please let me in. And I used to draw. I made up a character. His name was Herman, and it was the Miracle Whip guy, and putting him in different situations where he would run out of Miracle Whip and couldn't get it for one reason or another. His car would crash or, whatever. I don't know why I shared that, but there it is. Interest in hobbies. I brought that up to say that, everything that is an interest and hobby to you, you may not be good at it, but that's not a reason to follow it. If I enjoy drawing, I should have kept drawing if I get an enjoyment out of it. So whatever you're passionate about, regardless of whether you're good at it or not, it still is a good idea to follow it if it makes you happy, if it's something that brings you harmony in this life, then by all means, go at it. And again, don't listen to what other people say. Do what it is that makes you feel harmonious and gives you some kind of sense of satisfaction. Doesn't matter what it looks like. What about you, Glenn? Interest, hobbies, etc. Anything from basket weaving to bungee. What do you think?
Yeah, I've got 3. Seeing the world.
Hmm.
my racehorses, and
Sure.
cooking lousy meals for Sandra so she'll spit them out at me.
You goof.
Which she does.
Oh no, Glenn. Is
She
this on
says.
purpose? Are you cooking bad on purpose? He laughs.
I think I need to analyze that more deeply. I think there might be something in that. I'm attention seeking.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Ouch.
I would pay good money to see her spit food out at you, though.
Oh,
Hilarious.
you should.
Forget the racehorses.
You
We'll
should
put
hear
money on Sandra.
wait for the accompanying four-letter words that come with it.
Uh-oh.
My response is, well, you can get your own.
Yeah, that's right. What about doing the write-ups? Is that a harmonious passion for you? Is doing the write-ups?
I'm not sure that I'd call it passion. I think it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's but I don't know whether it's passion. It wouldn't be comparable to the other two. I think
Right.
more satisfaction than passionate. I'd say.
Passion. Oh, cool.
Okay. You're passionate about music. I don't know that you can play anything, but I know you enjoy music. I do as well. I can't play a single instrument, but it's something I have always enjoyed very much. I would consider it a passion. I engage in more often in certain times than others, but music.
Yeah.
Okay, number 3, achievement, career, and personal goals, anything from job to running a marathon. Yeah, there can be a lot that someone gets out of this, any kind of achievement. For me, a personal goal is to be physically healthier, and it's taking me a long time to do it, but I keep chipping away at it, and it's beneficial to me, and I'm finding passion in that. Also, I don't have to try very hard at this, but being married to Jen is a harmonious passion for me. It's
Yes.
I don't look at it as an achievement, but it was a personal goal of mine to be in a good marriage, a happy marriage, and it's something that without me trying to achieve it, it's happened. So sometimes it doesn't necessarily need to be something that you're trying for, but if it's an achievement for you in some way, then it still can be a harmonious passion.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. What about you, Jen? Achievement, career, or personal goals?
I'm gonna have to agree with you. Yeah, I was thinking about, hobbies and stuff, but yeah, I would say ditto on that one, from the other angle, being a good wife that's loving, God-fearing, helpful, not nagging.
Not nag. You are not a nag.
Yeah, I think that's been something that I've delighted in being for you, and for myself even.
Yeah.
Let's see, personal goals. I also would say yes with the getting in shape and getting healthy. That's also been something that on my own personal journey before you and I met was something that I was working toward, and that's been wonderful. Definitely a harmonious passion.
Yeah.
Music's definitely one, but we talked about that with the last one. That's not
Okay.
this one. I've never really been career driven. Like when I
Right.
think about being a writer and a children's book, like author and illustrator, I don't think of that as a career per se. I mean, I guess it could be.
It could be.
I do see it more of a passion, as a passion, which I guess is probably a good thing.
Sure.
Because I've never really been career driven. One
Right.
of those hard hitting career women.
Yeah, I'm glad you're not. Well, people can take it too far,
Yeah.
People can have this particular thing, take
It
over
can
their
be an
life.
addiction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sure can. What do you think, Glenn, for this one?
Yeah, I'm not really achievement oriented. I don't. Being competitive is not really of interest to me. So I'd say I just to sort of go with the flow.
Right.
That's the passion. Go with the flow. Let it
Yeah.
let it
Nice.
unfold. Yeah, chill.
Yeah.
Show like
I can relate.
like a branch on the shoulders of a mighty stream.
Ooh.
Ooh, Ooh, deep.
Where did he get that one from? Jenny's got a book in front of him, hasn't he?
It's the book of
He
Jen.
Googled
I'm
it.
just kidding.
I got it from, it's a line from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It's something
Ah.
the character John Candy says, like, oh, I get it. Someone says, I just go with the flow. And he says, like a branch on the shoulders of a mighty stream. Yep.
Yeah, that's a beautiful saying.
It
I knew
is.
it sounded familiar.
Yep. We saw it. We watched it.
Yes. Thanksgiving.
Yep. It's one of my favorite. There's not a whole lot of movies that are considered Thanksgiving movies. There are plenty for Christmas. There are plenty for Halloween. There are plenty for Valentine's Day. But I challenge anyone to find a movie that is kind of surrounded around Thanksgiving. It's harder than you might think, but Planes, Trains, and Automobiles happens to be one of them.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite movies. If you haven't seen it, I strongly suggest it. John Hughes is the director. He also did The Breakfast Club and 16 Candles and things like that. So it's well done. It's a classic. Okay. Glenn, I asked you achievement. Okay. So number 4, learning and education, anything from reading the Bible to a PhD in astrophysics. I like the contrast between the two. I love that you mentioned the Bible and also astrophysics. But to me, anything that you study in this world is biblically related and somehow based on that. I believe God created the universe. So anything that we can think God's first thought, astrophysics is no different. Of course, some people take it too far in their imagination, but a lot of it can be helpful and good, and definitely a worthy task. Learning and education. I have a degree, and I'm glad that I have it. I'm not happy about the debt that I had to go into in order to get a piece of paper with a bunch of people's signatures on it saying that I finished the required courses in order to be bestowed with a degree. But it could have been different. Who knows? When I decided to go back to school, it could have been at the right time and not been in a recession, and I might have found more value in it. But I'll always have the people that I met and the things I learned about myself and going to class and taking tests and doing well. That was a self-esteem booster for me. So all in all, learning and education is good. I was passionate about it at the time while I was doing it. Otherwise, I don't think I would have succeeded, because it's hard being an older person, going to class and showing up for tests and things like that. It can be challenging, but I'm glad I did it. So anything that you do to learn more, learn what you can in this world, I think is a benefit to you personally and to someone else. And so from that aspect of all the psychology and sociology and history, those are the 3 things that I focused on more of that, and English literature I enjoy. I got a lot out of that. What do you think, Jen? Anything from reading the Bible to PhD, harmonious passion in learning and education?
Well, I definitely would say that I am harmoniously passionate about reading the Bible every day with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's the highlight of my day.
Oh, it is for me too. That's wonderful.
That's my answer.
Okay. Glenn, learning and education, what do you think?
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty interested in most things. Sandra even gave me a cookbook, but I didn't look at it.
Glad you're so bad.
Yeah, I know. But I'm interested in pretty much. Hey, what about, I even learned about your belief systems, man. I put a lot of time into understanding all
Yeah,
that
you
stuff.
did.
You have, yeah.
Even though I don't believe any of it, I still put time in. So that's learning and education.
Yeah.
I think that saying that you don't believe any of it is not accurate.
Oh, excuse me, I'm going to choke myself.
That's a big blanket statement there, Glenn. I don't believe any of it.
It's true. I don't believe it.
We'll see.
Oh, he plays the long game, people. It's not going to work. I'm sorry. But the
It's
thing
not
is,
a game.
Oh, just go with it, Crips. Just,
Move along, move along.
just chill, man.
So,
It's all good.
Go with the flow.
That's it. Oh, shit. Oh, something, no, phone rang. Sorry.
Okay.
he went mute.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, turn off your phone, before the broadcast. That's a good idea. Okay. That's learning and education. It seems like it would happen a couple times. You'd be like, you know what? Maybe just in case someone decides to call me while I'm on the broadcast, maybe I should just put it on mute. There's my ribbing to Glenn, who probably can't even hear it right now. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one, number 5, the environment and animals. Anything from loving a lizard to planting trees. I do love the environment, but I'm not one of these warriors. Like Earth Day to me is just a couple days before my birthday. It's never meant a whole lot to me. I don't throw litter on the sidewalks and stuff. I make sure and throw things away in their proper container. I haven't always done that. I'm ashamed to say, but I'm an adult now, so there's no reason for me to toss my stuff out the window and think it's going to be someone else's job to pick it up. I do love animals, but I don't really consider it a passion of mine. I would love to have a dog and maybe a cat at some point, and I have had pets in the past, and I enjoy them. They're petting a dog or a cat, I think, for a human is very therapeutic. And
Yes.
I strongly suggest it. But it's not really, I don't really consider it a passion for me. What about you, Jen? Environment, and animals.
Yeah, I think I'm very harmoniously passionate about both of those things.
Okay.
I love the outdoors.
Yeah.
I love the design of nature. It just astounds me. It
Yeah.
puts me in awe. And even animals. I just think animals are fascinating. And I've always felt a connection with animals.
Sure.
Um,
What's your favorite animal?
it's a tie between horses and cats.
Horses and cats. You like cats that much? This is
I
not.
do. Oh my gosh, they're so snuggly.
They're snuggly.
And I love how they purr.
Yeah.
They'll like sit on your chest and purr when you're having a bad day, and it's just so soothing.
Yeah.
Oh.
I guess I would be concerned if we got a cat, that you would spend more time with the cat than me.
It would be a close tie.
Oh no.
I'm just kidding. They'll have to share you.
Yeah, you'll
Or
have to
me.
share me. Yeah. No, I don't think it would be like that. I think I would still get some attention.
Yeah, I could picture you making, jokes.
I would, yeah. You know me. I definitely make jokes.
What about you? Oh, you had already answered.
I
right?
did.
Yeah.
But is Glenn back yet?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So what about this one, environment and animals? What do you think of that one?
I think it's important that people be passionate about it, for sure, because it's the future. It's our grandchildren and their kids, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a cat for Sandra, and
Yeah.
I know that I can now come behind the cat. I'm only, well, I'm not even good for meals, am I? So I'm pretty useless, actually. So, but she loves the cat, and it's very therapeutic for her to have a cat. So I think it's just being kind to animals is wonderful. And I think if you come across a person who would hurt an animal, I think the red flags start waving very, very strongly.
Yeah.
It's nothing. It's horrible to see it.
Yeah.
Horrible. So yeah.
Yeah. I would
cats.
agree. Isn't it more your cat though than it is Sandra's, honestly?
No, this cat is gregarious. He goes to Sandra for a lot more cuddles, and he sits with her when she goes to bed and does that. Look, perfect cat, but he's here now with me in the office, but I feed him and I clean his litter and I do all the stuff for him. So it works beautifully. It's he does not show favorites, but he's just wonderful for Sandra. You just couldn't put a price on it. So.
Yeah, well, I think you enjoy having him around. The way
I like him. He's a great cat.
Yeah,
he's a wonderful cat. I mean, Yeah.
It's funny the way you talk about him, talk like him. You
Or at him.
you interpret what he wants and share it with us when we're talking.
Well,
Sometimes.
I went and did my learning and education. I'd read up on cat psychology. It works.
What? That's awesome. I like watching that show My Cat from Hell, where
Oh yeah,
Jackson Galaxy comes over and he teaches the owners cat psychology. It's pretty
yeah,
awesome.
it is pretty. That is an
He's like a cat
entertaining show.
whisperer.
Yeah, they did the same thing with dogs too.
Okay.
Caesar, whoever had a show where he would go over to someone's house whose dog was misbehaving in some way. I actually did learn quite a few things by watching that show.
Oh, cool.
One of the things, this isn't really what the topic's about. One of the things was if you're having a dog that is barking a lot and nervous when people come over, is the homeowner, because they're pack animals, so they'll watch you. So if someone new comes into the house, you shake their hand or put your hand on their arm in front of the dog to show that you're accepting of this person. And generally that will make the dog more accepting of the person as well. I've seen it happen so many times that he does that one with some of the pets. Anyway, so it's a little something.
That's cool.
Yeah, I thought it was. Okay, number 6, creativity. Anything from photographing a butterfly to baking a velvet cake. I am not passionate about baking cake, but my wife is, and she made me a lovely German chocolate cake for my birthday. I only have it once a year, but I can honestly say that I've never had one this good. Not
Oh,
ever.
that's sweet.
I'm serious. I've never had one this good. It just tantalizes my taste buds and is awesome. And I have to have it with Breyer's vanilla bean ice cream. And no, I'm not being paid for that.
That sponsor.
Yeah, that sponsorship. But it's a wonderful thing. So I enjoy the creativity and passion from someone else for baking, for sure.
Nice.
Jen, I don't want to take all your answers, but you're an excellent photographer as well. I can't do that, but creativity, I can talk about that.
You're good at graphic art.
Hmm.
Like on the envelopes of the notes you write me.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Your
you.
graphic art is really good. You have an artistic eye.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That's something that is just fun for me, and there's a purpose to it. So I enjoy that. But in other areas that I'm creative, I could be more passionate about pursuing those things.
Which things?
Creative things. Well, like I mentioned, acting. I still like acting. I didn't stop liking it, but I'm not pursuing it in any way. Writing plays. I've written many short stories, just have never tried to do anything with them. Poetry, something that I feel I'm fairly good at, but I don't do it as much. And I feel like with using my voice, I am doing that. But I could probably do more. I think we could always do more.
Yeah.
But I think, again, this is a harmonious passion. And so any type of creativity that someone has, they should take advantage of that and use it in whatever way. Say hello to Brenda. Brenda popped in. Now, for those of you that don't know Brenda, Brenda actually was my first co-host on True Story Live when we started at Blog Talk. And the whole reason that I met Jen in the first place, I mean, I had met her already on one of the Facebook. We're in a Facebook group together, but I got to know Brenda because when she was helping me with the broadcast, she wanted to have the summer off because she has kids. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this by myself. But she actually found a replacement for me. And it happened to be Jen, and it just worked out wonderfully with Jen filling in, and a lot came out of that meeting. So Brenda, we could say, is partially responsible for Jen and I being together.
Yeah. Big part of our story.
Yeah, big part of our story. So welcome, Brenda. welcome.
We miss you, Brenda.
Glad you're here. Where were we? Creativity. I finished
Creativity.
mine on creativity. What about you, Jen, with creativity?
Gosh, I'd probably say photography, writing, watercolor, like
Yeah.
illustrating, and
Mhm.
definitely baking and cooking. It's something else.
Yes.
Today I attempted my first try at making Japanese souffle pancakes did not
Yeah.
go over well.
It went over it went over well into my mouth.
They were still tasty, but they weren't like fluffy. They didn't look like the picture at all. Um, yeah, it's funny, baking and even cooking, there's an art to it.
Yeah.
And some things you can whip up with the recipe,
Yeah.
off the straight get go. Like this was the first time I ever made a German chocolate cake, and it turned out beautifully.
It did.
But there is definitely an art and a science between, not between, what's the word I'm looking for? There's an art and a science to
Yeah.
whipping egg whites. I had
Okay.
no idea there was like this whole other world of information and education
Oh.
on whipping egg whites
Oh.
correctly, depending on what recipe you're using.
Uh-huh.
So these didn't quite get it down right, but they were still yummy. They just
Yeah.
didn't look like the picture.
Oh, I got you. Well, as I said to you, that's your first time. The next time, I mean,
Yeah.
you do improve when you try something. I've never had anything that you've made that was horrible.
Oh,
Let's just put that out there.
to
There's
you.
not been a single there's not been a single thing that I've eaten that you've made that's been horrible. But you do
Awesome.
get better. You'll try something, and then you'll learn improvements, and you get better and better. So I think that's good. So the next time you do a pancake, which for me probably will be next year at the same time, I'll have you
Yeah.
try them again. But
I have a whole year to practice.
yeah, you have a whole year to practice. Yeah, that's only because we stay on the keto and we go off for a couple of days every now and then. It always kickstarts our diet. So,
Mhm.
but by the end of it, I'm ready to go back on it. I'm not quite ready
Yeah.
because I'm still having a piece of cake tonight before I go to bed. At least we have to finish it up. But I'm assuming we start back tomorrow. And Jen also got me two of my favorite kind of M&Ms, and they're gone already. I mean, I didn't eat them all at once. I got them on Friday, and it's Sunday, and I polished them off. So that tells you how much I like those things. I don't eat a whole lot of. I just really don't eat a whole lot of candy, and I've noticed that for me, I can feel the difference on my teeth
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
eating a lot of sugar, and so it's not something I make a habit out of. But once a year, I don't think it hurts anything on my birthday. It's hilarious to me that Brenda forgot who what Glenn's name was in the chat. That is awesome. Brenda's like, who's this? Indigo Violet. He's like, Glenn, dude. Like he didn't say it like that. That's in my own mind. It's like Glenn. Okay, Glenn, what do you think about creativity, my friend?
I think all of us are probably being creative all day long, and we just don't label it such.
Right.
Good
Yeah.
point.
I've had 100 goes at those packet cakes. I'm pretty good now, so I'd say that's getting pretty creative. Put in mix, put in beater, put in eggs, put in milk, put in whatever you've got to put in, and stir it up. Genius. Creativity. Yeah, but
I love
I
it.
think we're all creative in our own way. I think
Sure.
we've all got something there for
Yeah.
sure.
Isn't the point though, if someone is creative in some way to follow that and do more with it rather than suppressing it? I'm seeing that as the
I think all of us are creative just in the way we live our lives. But I also I think there's more than one creativity in the context of what you say. Sure, but I think there's I can't think of many people who wouldn't have something that they really don't. If you pin them down, feel that they're not passionate about something that they create.
yeah.
Just,
Okay.
just a thought. Not sure, but just a guess.
Okay. All right. Thanks. All right. Number 7, we have family. Anything from flying a kite with the kids to holding hands when they pass. Yeah, this is a big one for me. Now, Jen and I are praying to have a family, and both of us have interest in that. And I believe we would be excellent parents. We would take the things that we learned from our parents in a good way and use some of the same things. And then the things that we learned not to do, we would choose
We wouldn't do them.
we wouldn't do them. We wouldn't do them. And then we would have our own sense of how to raise a kid, and we use that. But I like this example. Anything from flying a kite with kids to holding hands when they pass. To me, even though I'm not a parent, I am an uncle, and I have at various times spent time with each of my sister's kids. But Finn is the youngest. I think he's 8 now. And I've spent a lot of time, more time with him than the girls. I guess because I'm a boy, it's a little bit easier for me to know what he wants, and he's really easy because he just likes to spend time with people. It doesn't really matter to him necessarily what you're doing, and it's important to do those things, so the holding hands and with Finn, it's playing video games. It's not a kite, but same thing. It's just spending time with them. It's acknowledging that they're in the world, and I try to make Finn feel like I'm happy, and I am. I'm not making him feel something. I'm happy to see him every time I do. So that's a wonderful thing. Which reminds me, I haven't spent time with him in a while, so I need to get on that. What do you think, Jen? Anything from flying a kite with family as a harmonious passion?
Yeah, anything with family.
Yeah.
Even the hard stuff, at least for me. Working through hard stuff with family
Sure.
is a passion of mine. Because it's my heart, to work through things. And I know there are some people with families where things can't be worked through, and that just breaks
Yeah.
my heart.
Yeah.
Because that does happen.
Sure.
But family for sure, and having kids and being passionate about having kids with
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
if
Nice.
God willing.
God willing. Nice. All right, Glenn. Family. Anything from flying a kite with kids to holding hands when they pass. What do you think?
Yeah, I was a bit. That came out the way I wrote that is a bit ambiguous. What I was really saying, or didn't say, was I was there when my dad died, so I did his palliative care. So that was a privilege,
Yeah.
a passion, you could call it that. But gee, that is it's amazing how the death of someone can be so uplifting. I know it sounds paradoxical or contradictory, but it's just amazing. The feeling yeah. What do you think? You think it's paradoxical? Or?
No, not at all. Not. It's just while you were saying that, I thought of my mom. I mean, I hated that she died. I mean, I miss her. Sometimes I wish I could, just like my sister. She texts me sometimes and said, "I wish I could call mom." So there's definitely missing her, but it was uplifting to me. There were many things I learned from her death and things that changed for me in her absence, because of who she was to me for a long time and the good things that she taught me, and some of the bad things. When she died, they left with her. So I'm not carrying around things with me that were a negative experience. So in that way, it was uplifting to me. And because of my belief system, of course, I believe that I'll see her again. So it's a loss for now, but it's gained in the future, I believe.
Yeah, well, I wish I could speak to her too, because obviously,
Yeah.
as people know, she and I shared a very passionate relationship. So,
Yeah.
and I miss her terribly. So to me, she's family. So,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, all you have to do is
here it comes.
Yeah, all you have to do is believe the Bible, and you'll see her again. That's it.
No, she already said she'd marry me if I became a Christian. That one didn't get through, so I don't think there's much chance of going further.
Glenn.
I'm allowed to say that. That's not.
Yeah. You can say
It's
it.
the truth.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're not going to go there.
I know, but I'm just saying. No, I'm not going. I'm not going there either. But no, good memories. Put it that way.
I think you saw a passionate side to her that a lot of people haven't seen. I mean, I've learned something from you telling me how she was with you sometimes. I mean, I think that makes sense that she acted differently toward you. And as her son, I didn't get a chance to see some of that. That's okay.
Well, I think maybe that maybe happens with a lot of people, is that they just, I don't think any children can really perceive their parents as having a passion for anything really. I think that they're just their parents.
Right.
It's only when you get down, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just the way it is. It just seems to be. I know with my mum and dad, I just couldn't imagine them after you're with them every day, like you're growing up. You don't see them as having a passion for anything. You just see them as
Yeah.
being your mum and dad. You wouldn't know anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Now, I did see some things she was passionate about. One of the things she was passionate about, helping people through her counseling practice. And she went, in my opinion, she went above and beyond just being a quote unquote counselor. And people responded to that. I mean, I've talked about this before, but at her memorial service, there were people there from all walks of life, people I had met before and people that I didn't know. And they were waiting in line to say something nice about Linda. So she followed that passion. She was also very passionate about playing tennis. And she played right up until she died. She would go and hit the ball around. She had her best friend, Marilyn, and they had played tennis together since they were 18 years old when they first met in college. And it was something she was passionate about. She was very passionate about flowers and planting. She was always working in a garden and creating some kind of garden and very passionate about that. So yeah, there were certainly some things that I was not able to see her be passionate about, but other things that I was. So, but that's a good one. Relationships, anything you do in relationships is important and can be a way to express passion for sure, in whatever way it works for you. Number 9, interaction. And did everyone answer that? I want to make sure I didn't forget anybody. Yes.
I'm good.
Hello. Jen, are you still there?
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. What was your question?
I asked you about this. You responded to number 8, relationships, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry. That's
Oh my gosh, relationships. I am harmoniously passionate about being in a relationship with Crips.
yeah.
But relationships in general, definitely. I like connecting with people. And I think it's so easy for us to see people as just this flat, one-dimensional thing. People that we come in contact with every day. Not people that we see all the time, but like just strangers. And that's
Yeah.
not making any sense. Sorry, but I love the fact that everybody has a story, and that everybody is unique. And my point was relationships, connecting with people. I'm very passionate about.
Yeah.
To round back to it. But yeah, relationships are very important to me.
Yeah. Yeah. What you said, it made sense. I understood what you're saying.
Okay.
I would say that, number 1 on the list is relationship with you. That's the first one. But I see that you care about your relationships with your brothers and your mom and dad and people that you meet at work. In fact, you went out this weekend with some people that you work with. I think that's something you're pretty good with. I'm more passionate about my relationship with Jen than other relationships. I mean, I have friends that I keep up with and things like that, but I've gotten a little out of practice with pursuing those relationships, and part of it makes sense. I'm married, and that's the number 1 relationship in my life, and I spend time with that. But I probably should do better about that. Just saying. Okay, so number 9, interaction and communication. Anything from a smile to being vulnerable. I love that one. Anything from a smile to being vulnerable. Being vulnerable in your relationships, the number 8, I think is key to having a healthy, happy relationship. I don't know how you can be in a relationship without being vulnerable and have it be a good one that thrives and grows and changes. I think it's super important. And to me, communication is the biggest success maker for relationships in general.
Yep.
Again, we were watching a show. It's one of our Netflix shows that I watched it by myself when it came on years ago. And Jen and I have this habit. We'll watch Netflix together while we eat. And there have been a couple series that I've seen and enjoyed that she's watched with me, and I love it. It's something that it's part of what we do that is very satisfying to me. And this one's called Travelers. And in each thing that we watch, there's always this common theme that I see. And it's that so many things could be worked out and different if the people would just talk to each other.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
there's these long drawn out stories and conflicts between people. And I understand it's drama. I get that. And so they're telling their storytelling, and part of that story, conflict has to be part of the story. I get it. But I'm just saying, in real life, a lot of the problems that couples have could be cleared up instantaneously simply by the two people sitting down, coming to the table, and having communication and interaction. But I really like the vulnerable part, and I can't go on too much about how important that is. If you've got your walls up, I don't see how it can work. If you're just walled in and you're not being vulnerable to your partner, I think you have to be careful. I mean, you have to choose who you're vulnerable with. I'm not saying just go out there and just be vulnerable with anybody. But if you can surround yourself with people that are safe for you, then being vulnerable is key, and it helps. What do you think, Jen? Interaction and communication.
Yeah. Interaction. I think I've always been passionate about communication, not always. Communication to me when I was younger made me think of like altercations or confrontation. So I was always afraid communication would end up to be one of those two things or both.
Oh no.
But no, now it's huge. Meeting Glenn was a huge part of that. Just having someone come alongside you, and I know it seems like duh, but explaining the importance of communication, and how key it is to staying connected to the people
Yeah.
that you're in a relationship with,
Yeah.
whether it's a spouse or friends and family.
Yeah.
And that being your authentic self, and not feeling like responsible for other people's reactions. That was the biggest key for me.
Right.
What was keeping me from communicating to people before and having passion about communicating was I was so afraid of people's reactions. And even if they were a nice person or calm or chill, I was always afraid what I was going to communicate. Not that it was necessarily bad, but would get
Yeah.
some bad reaction
Yeah.
because I grew up with an angry dad. So, but yeah, now I'm very, very passionate about communication and interaction with people. So good stuff.
Yeah. It's interesting that you saw your former self like that as someone that was reluctant to communicate. What I saw was that when we started talking, you were very eager to communicate.
Yeah.
It seemed
That's
like it
after
was very.
not having any for 14 years.
No, I get it. I
More.
get it. I'm just saying you were primed and ready to do that when the
Yeah.
opportunity arose. That's all.
Yeah. Thank
And
God.
yeah, thank God indeed, because it could have been like pulling teeth, Glenn asking you questions and you not wanting to answer, and it could have gone nowhere. But no, it was the opposite. You were ready to answer questions and ready to communicate with someone. And I'm glad. I'm not glad that you had to go through the 14 years of very little communication. It blows my mind, some of the stories that you tell me of road trips where you're in your own head listening to music and stuff. I believe it, but that would never be the case with us.
Yeah. Nope.
And so it's just, I know part of it is just different people have different
Yeah.
doing things, but all right. What do you think, Glenn? Interaction and communication. I have an idea of how you'll respond to this one.
Well, I think if you're passionate about your relationships, you automatically have to be passionate about your communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the two seem to be totally linked together. So, yeah, I'd say that's a passion for me. I'd say, well, I mean, having a healthy relationship, I'm passionate, or healthy relationships, plural, I'm passionate about that because it's important.
Sure.
And the value of that is that you get to interact with people in ways that you may not have been able to before.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I've been there. I've been in the place where Jen is, that you don't want to communicate because you know that it's just not worth it. It's just not worth the aggravation or the effort or what's going to come back. So you stop.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so, yeah. So I know with you, Jen, it took you a long time. You just didn't sort of turn the tap on.
No.
Oh, Coco's just jumped up. There he goes.
There he is.
You see, I looked at him. See, that's what happened. He jumps up. I've got to go and get him lunch in a minute. But yeah, well, I just lost the plot. Yeah, but it took you a lot of hard yards and tears and
Oh yeah.
going through stuff 50 times. And
Yeah, it was not overnight.
no. It's and anyone who thinks you can turn that passion to get better into something that's just gonna just pop in. No.
Yeah.
This is hard work.
I can't get over how it seemed like I was so programmed. It almost seemed like brainwashed
We were.
to think a certain way. Yeah. I mean, I felt like the concepts, Glenn, that you were bringing up, my brain, it was like part of my brain, it clicked, but there was this other bigger part that was having such a hard time. It was like trying to hold sand, you know? And so you had to repeat things a couple of times. And when it clicked. It was great. You know, it clicked for good. But gosh, took a while.
Oh yeah,
You're a saint, buddy.
I remember I used to say, you'd say something, I'd say, stop. You remember this? Stop, say that again. And then I'd say, do you realize what you just said? Then you'd talk, oh.
And I'd be like, what? What did
Oh,
I
crap.
Oh, man. You are a saint, buddy.
Thanks, guys. I just got to go and feed the cat.
All right. No problem. Yeah, so that was a important time, and I still say you were primed and ready for it. The communication.
Yeah.
But this is important, guys. The interaction and communication, and if it's something that you struggle with, just remember how important it is to have people around you that you can communicate with, especially in relationships.
Yeah.
Stephanie says, my walls are up, so others are out of luck. Okay. Yeah, again, I understand why you feel that way, especially right now, but I would like to talk to you again in 3 years and see where you're at, see if you're in the same place. Maybe you will be. Maybe it's just there's so many bad things that have happened that your walls will always be up. I think, again, though, right now, I think it's important. It's important to protect yourself while you're
healing, especially
healing and recovering and stuff. But obviously, you feel comfortable with some people. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here and you wouldn't have shared your story. So you do feel comfortable with certain people, and your walls aren't up with everyone. I mean, I'm sure maybe there's a part of you that your walls will always be up. I don't know. I'm just making the point that there are some people that you feel comfortable communicating with, and that's, I think, has been a benefit.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you're able to do that, though. I mean, walls can be up, but when you find people that you feel comfortable with, you are capable of communicating, and I think that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard when you've been hurt, especially when you have such a big heart. And I was just thinking, Jason, about our neighbor. We had a neighbor that had some domestic violence issues a couple weeks back. And we ended up giving her a ride because her car had gotten stolen a couple months back. And on one end, my heart was bleeding for her with the situation that she was going through. But my mind was having this major tug of war between the compassionate part of my heart and then the other part of my heart that's been burned and used and manipulated and just and I couldn't help but have this tug of war in my mind of, well, what if she's faking? What if she's
Yeah.
this? What if she's that? I mean, it was insane. I got the worst headache. I was like, oh my gosh. Because on one end, okay, she might not be telling all of the story, and she may be playing the victim,
Yeah.
um, and not actually be a victim, but maybe made a bunch of choices over and over that have landed her in the spot she's in.
Right.
But does God not call us to be compassionate and loving even to people that don't deserve it, especially people that don't deserve it?
Yeah.
So, but it
That's
was
kind
just
of the
so
point, right?
frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just was so frustrating to have that that tug of war. Because what I went through in the 14 years, it changed me. And there's a part of me that looks back and remembers this girl who was just all compassion and didn't
Yeah.
have an ounce of suspicion.
Right.
But unfortunately, that girl got into trouble, like got into a really bad situation,
Yeah.
So even there's like pros and cons, and even though I'm struggling right now with trust when it comes to strangers, especially
Yeah.
people that I don't fully know yet,
hmm
um, I'm still glad for what I've been through, and I think we should have some cautiousness to us,
Sure.
and be careful.
Sure.
But there is a childlike wonder when it comes to that that full on compassion where you're not suspicious of anybody.
Yeah.
You just assume they're good people.
Yep.
So anyway, I went off on a tangent. Sorry, guys.
No, you didn't. You didn't go on a tangent. I completely agree. There are some people you do have to be slightly guarded in order to protect yourself. It's just the way that it is. It's a rough world, and there are plenty of people out there that don't have your best interest at heart. And so I understand why it's a struggle. You got through it, and you did what you need to do, and it worked out. We haven't had any more interactions. By the way, that person that we helped for the domestic thing got back with the guy who she was having a problem with to begin with. And I knew that was a possibility. I've seen these situations before, and a lot of times the person that's in it, they get mad that time, and then time goes by and they miss the person, and so they just kind of forget that it happened. That wouldn't prevent me from helping, even if she had made it up. My role is to, if something falls in my lap or enters my circle, and if there's something I can do to help, I help. It's the same thing of like if a bum comes up to you, or a wino or whatever. I don't know, do they still use that term? I don't know. But if someone comes up to you and asks for spare change, it's easy to think, well, if I give them spare change, they're going to go buy alcohol with it. Yeah, and that may be true. They might decide to do that. So it's a question as to whether in that moment, do you have change? Do you have a couple bucks that you might be able to benefit someone else? So even if the person is not going to use it the way that you would hope, you're still doing something that helps another person. That's what it comes down to for me. So in the situation with the neighbor, Jen, my attitude about it was, yes, you're right. She could have brought this on herself. But does that mean that if a person comes in our circle that we don't help? I mean, if we know for sure that a person, I still might be likely to help.
Yeah.
Because I've done things that put myself in a bad situation, and I would have benefited from some help, even though I caused the situation in the first place.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a good one. Okay, last one, number 10, beliefs and faith. Anything from Hamza to across. I don't know what Hamza is. I should have looked it up, but I have no idea.
Grips, I sent you the link, what it was. I sent you a web page.
Uh-oh.
Just on Messenger.
I didn't see that
see
either.
You're a doofus.
Well, let's pretend that no one else got the link, and why don't you tell everyone what Hamza is?
It's the hand of Fatima. It can be used in Christian or Islamic, a whole range of different, Jewish, and you find them predominantly in the Middle East. We've got quite a few of them. I even gave my mum one as a gift.
I've seen that.
You know what they are? They're the hands.
it's the hand with the eye in the middle, or sometimes
It
it
can
has
have
like
an eye
a,
in the
yeah.
middle. Yeah,
Sometimes it's a menorah, sometimes it's a jewel.
yeah.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
it's a religious symbol across many faiths.
Gotcha. All right. Okay, with beliefs and faith, yeah, I'm very passionate about my belief and my faith. I don't let it. It's not an OCD kind of thing, or it's not a negative passion. I pretty much am just passionate about my own beliefs. I'm happy to talk about it with others if they want to hear, but it's not something I push on anyone. Because I realize you can't make anyone believe anything. I mean, you can give the information, you can encourage them to, whatever it is, whatever book it is that they need to read, whatever. But they're people are incapable. You're incapable of making someone believe anything. I mean, that's the conclusion I've come to. It doesn't seem to keep people from trying. I mean, there are many people in the world that feel like it's their biblical mandate, so to speak, to quote unquote save souls. But really, what it says is, be a light. There's plenty about how we're supposed to treat others. Living in a way that you're kind and loving and encouraging and empathetic toward people in general. To me, that's the real expression of belief and faith, is by doing that. It's not quoting Bible verses to someone. Someone comes up to you and they need something, and you give them a Bible verse. I used to wait tables. I was telling Jen, sometimes instead of a tip, I would get a tract, which is just a little pamphlet that has the gospel on it or whatever. Some of them have the gospel, others of them have lots of other garbage. Yeah, I didn't take that track and go, oh my gosh, thank you. Someone really was thoughtful of me, especially in lieu of a tip. So that's an example of where someone is not sharing their belief and faith, in my opinion, in the correct way. I would have rather had a conversation with the person. If they wanted to share their faith with me, then I could listen to them and I can share my faith with them, and we could have had a nice little convo. But anyway, yeah, this is a harmonious passion, beliefs, and faith. And I think people take it too far. For example, in the Muslim faith, or in lots of faiths, actually, the people who are dogmatic about it, and they even kill other people that don't believe what they believe. That's an example of where it gets taken to the other end. And I think with it, like anything else, there's a real balance there. But for me, it's just living it. It's living it, not just saying that you live it, not just telling people that's who you are, but showing people by your actions what you believe and what your faith is. What do you think on that one? The last one, number 10, beliefs and faith, anything from Hamsa to across.
Well, I love the last thing that you said.
Oh, thank you.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I think it's important to have faith in something, and for me, it's God and Jesus. And like you had just mentioned, I think it's important to walk it out. It be shown
Yeah.
through action, not just words.
Yep.
I think we've probably all run into the, if you're talking about Christians.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I've ever experienced this with any other religion, where they have the people that kind of get into your personal space and in your face and start talking to you about Jesus.
Yeah. Do you have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ?
Have you ever had that with any other religions?
No, I've never been approached by a Muslim, for instance, asking me, to read the Quran. No.
Yeah.
No.
But I think there are ways that you can approach people that are a little less in your face.
Sure. Sure.
Than that. But actions is a wonderful way, for people to know.
I think actions are the best way. I mean, it's living it instead of, beating someone over the head with the Bible, or telling them they should believe what you believe. It's expressing it in the way that you treat them, not just words. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel pretty strongly about that. What do you think, Glenn? Beliefs and faith.
I think I'll use two things here. I've mixed with all of these all over the world, and I'll tell you straight up, the Christians are the pushy ones. That no other religion I've come across is anywhere near like this. Nope, mixed with lots of Islamic people. I remember sitting in I think I was in a carpet shop in Istanbul, and he didn't bring any of this up. He had to go to his prayer. I called the prayer, and he did that and came back. We're having a chat. I said, tell me about the Quran. Oh, man, he was just so excited that someone would ask him. Very informative, amazing, the things you learn. Ask a question. Now, I'll leave that one, but I'm going to defer my answer and say something or share something that Annette said, which I thought was particularly relevant. She's got, I agree, Krebs, helping people is almost always the right call. One of the reasons I left our last church was because they didn't help everyone who needed it. They decided who deserved it and who didn't. Ouch. Yeah. That's a shocker. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think about that?
Oh, I agree with Annette that I mean, that's ridiculous, and I wouldn't want to stay around there. It's just it's exactly what I expressed. If someone comes into my circle of influence and I can help them in any way, doesn't matter to me how they got into that situation. I try to help, and that's because I've been in situations where I really could have used a ride if I'm stranded on the side of the road. I could have used someone stopping and picking me up and taking me to the gas station or whatever. And sometimes it has happened. Other times I've had to hoof it the whole way. And so for me, it's doing to others as you would have them do unto you. In other religions, it's karma. You know, what you do comes back to you. Everything's on the wheel. I mean, different religions look at it in different ways, but the bottom line is the same. What you do comes back to you. And that's not the only reason I do it. I don't do it just to get something in return, but I do it because I want to be a good person. I want to be a helpful person. And I want to leave this world better than I found it. And to say that, well, I'm just one person, what can I do? Well, you can do whatever comes in your sphere of influence. You know, we all can do that. We all can help other people, regardless of whether they got themselves in the situation or not. Being an empathetic person in this world. So I think what Annette is saying, yeah, I understand why she left, to decide who deserves something or not. People may not deserve it. That's what grace is, folks. Grace isn't something, oh, someone deserved it, so you give it to them. No, we don't deserve grace. We don't deserve grace from God. I mean, it's because we don't deserve it that it's grace. If you give something to someone that they deserve it, that's not grace. So if someone doesn't deserve it, I all the more want to help them if I can. It's not about them in that way. I mean, yes, I'm helping them. It's not about what they did or didn't do. It's about whether I'm a kind person or not. It's whether I'm empathetic or not. Am I going to help someone if they need it? Yes. The answer to that is yes. If I can do something, I'm going to do it.
Awesome.
So there's that. Okay, and then any more you can think of, want to disclose? That's the question. And then we're going to finish up here real quick. So the next part is Mr. and Mrs. X, passionate about cats. They love being around cats, interacting with them. Cats give meaning to their life. They live in a lovely apartment, which is an inheritance from their parents. However, there's a sign on the door which says no pets allowed. What do? Leave to be with your cats or conceal and try to deny what brings meaning to your life? Why don't you go with this first, Glenn, because I'm a little confused by this. I'm sure there's a point here, but the Mr. and Mrs. X, they love cats, but yet they have a sign that says no pets allowed. So
are you prepared to give up your comforts to follow what you're passionate about?
Oh.
That's the point. How far would you go to have the things that you've already determined give meaning to your life?
I think some of the things, like for instance, I mentioned my relationship with Jan. I'm passionate about that. I wouldn't give up anything. But I would give up comforts if I was uncomfortable. If I had to be uncomfortable in order to pursue that, I would. Does that answer the question?
Well, let me ask you this in another way. If you had the option of if you had the option of being told that in order to be with Jen, you have to go and live in a tent in the campground, would you do it?
Yes.
There you go.
Without any hesitation at all. Yeah, absolutely, I would.
Well, that's like leaving the apartment to be with your cats.
Okay.
It's the same deal.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it now. I get it. Okay, I get it. I was looking at it in a different way. I thought their house, they loved cats, but in their house they had a sign on the door that said no pets allowed. It says they live in a lovely apartment, so I misunderstood that.
Mr. or Mrs. X live in the lovely apartment but they can't have any cats. Yeah, obvious now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would I go and live with Sandra in a tent? Oh, I wouldn't even be in 1 second. I'd be out there in the tent. I wouldn't give a rat's backside about the comforts.
Yeah, I agree. What do you
That's
think?
awesome. I would agree.
Yeah.
What about people in chat? What do they wonder what they think?
Yeah. So do you guys understand the question? So what would you give up your comforts to follow your passion? Would you if being with the person that you love means living in a tent, would you do it? If you love cats and you know they say you can't have them, would you stay or leave?
Yeah. Well, I love cats and they're a big comfort to me, but I would give up having a cat if it meant I couldn't have one to stay with Jason.
That's not the choice though, is it?
What?
That's a double choice. That means you just would stay with Crips over cats. But the whole point of the question was one-on-one. It's one thing that gives you passion, one thing is giving you comfort. Which do you choose? It's not a competition between a cat and Crips.
Well, I'm not passionate about cats the way I'm passionate about Crips. They're comforting, you know.
Oh, okay.
I see. I know what you're saying. I'm being a hard ass.
You're being a pest.
I do get what you're saying, Glenn.
Yeah, I know. You're winding me up, but Coco, he's gone. He's had lunch. He's gone to see Sandra. Yeah, you give it up.
Yep.
Because at some point you do make a value judgment, don't you? How important is the thing you're passionate about really to you then call to account?
Yeah. Okay, well, here's a good example. Maybe you could let me know if it stinks.
No, I don't let you know anything.
Don't say it like that.
No, Jen, no, you got to stop that. Here's a good example. Forget about what anyone else says.
Screw you. So, okay, I don't like fear. I don't like being afraid of failing, and it's uncomfortable. So I've got this fear and this fear of failing that keeps me from doing my passion, which is drawing and art and writing. And so this is making me think, okay, do I just dive in to the fear and get uncomfortable in order to, because it's a river I'm going to have to swim through if I'm going to chase after this dream. It's there's no going around it. I've got to go through it. But there's a part of me that there's some comfort in not approaching the fear and setting the passion aside. But you asked a great question a second ago. Well, how much are you passionate about it if you're going to set it aside because you don't want to be uncomfortable? So anyway, just got me thinking.
There you go.
Think.
Good one. Thanks, Jen.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you would live with me in a tent.
Aw.
We'll never have to do that, God willing, but
never know. You never know. You might get lucky.
You might get lucky. I'm too pampered to live in a tent. I'll just be straight up. I've got to have.
What if you had to?
I would if I had to. If it meant being with you. Yes,
Oh,
I do.
yeah. And that just said I wouldn't be able to tolerate sleeping on the ground. Yeah, Jason's right with you.
Mhm. Can't do it.
Where's that blow up mattress? Air mattress.
Oh, I've slept on an air mattress more than once.
Phew, yeah.
They're actually not too terribly horrible.
Yeah. Way better than the ground.
Certain ones, yeah. I mean, it's the only thing I don't like is if it has a small hole and you start with a fully inflated mattress when you go to sleep, and then somewhere in the night it's deflated and you're on the floor to begin with. That's kind of frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not
Not
good.
my favorite. That never happens with a normal mattress. So
Wouldn't that be strange? What in the heck?
yeah,
My spring's deflated.
yeah, I would be having a flashback of some sort.
I know.
Okay, we're about done. The last one, the best for last. This is a good one. I can't wait to comment on. Maybe this is not so much about courage or fear. Maybe courage and fear working together is necessary for us to be who we are. Should we conceal or should we reveal? This is great.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard it said that courage is not the absence of fear; it's moving forward despite your fear.
Despite fear, yeah.
And I probably didn't say that right, but
No, I thought it was great.
So in other words, for soldiers, soldiers would seem fearless, and you hear these stories about how they went in front of a machine gun to save one of their dying compadres on the battlefield, and they drag them to safety and they get a medal and all that. So it'd be easy to say, well, that guy's fearless. But when you hear the interviews from these people, a lot of them admit that no, they were fearful, but their courage outweighed the amount of fear that they had, because the motivation was my buddy's dying and he's going to definitely die if I leave him out there. So I'm going to go get him and bring him back, risking my own life in the process. So to me, it's all about the motivation. What are you motivated to do? And are you going to let fear be a heavier motivation for you than the courage that you have to pursue whatever your path? And I'm asking myself the same question, because obviously there are some things in my life where the courage I have outweighed the fear. And I can think of a couple examples. I'll just give a quick one. It's kind of boring, but one of the jobs that I do, the digital drafting, it's very intimidating because it's a lot to learn. And when I was presented the opportunity, I was definitely fearful. I was afraid of failing. I was afraid that I wasn't smart enough to get the concepts that I needed. And because of how complicated it's not so much complicated. It's just there's a lot to learn. Just a person coming off the street that knows nothing about blueprints and housing plans and stuff like that. There's just a lot to learn. So when faced with the opportunity, I put it off for a long time, for several months, when I could have started right away. Because of that, because I was afraid of failing. I was concerned that I didn't have what it took to do it. And then finally, my courage outweighed my fear, out of necessity, really, honestly, out of necessity. When the whole COVID thing happened and people couldn't work and I needed something from home, and also we needed to pay rent. And I'd put it off long enough, and I dove in, and I pursued it. I pursued it heartily, watching videos and practicing and doing projects and stuff, unpaid at first. And I found out that I wasn't going to fail. It's still a learning process. I think that this program, you could do it for 30 years and not know everything that there is to know about it. But that's how some things are in life. If I had been more fearful than courageous, then I would have passed up a great opportunity to have something that not only do I really enjoy it, but it helps pay the bills. It pays very well. So I learned a valuable lesson. Same thing with, I do TurboTax, same thing with that. I didn't have any interest in doing taxes, but I needed something to supplement the income from the other job because it's a new company and there's not enough work to have it be your only job at this point. I think that'll change, but so I had to do something else. And having zero interest in taxes, I learned I do know about being a customer service agent, so there's that part. I had a lot of experience with that, but I dove in and did what I need to do. Now those are boring examples, but they make a point that whatever you're fearful about, it depends on how, if you're going to let the fear grip you and decide it for you, decide your own situation for you, or are you going to jump out there and be courageous even though you're fearful? See, it wasn't the absence of fear for me getting started with these things. The fear didn't just go away. I worked through it.
Yeah.
And that's what we all need to do, in my opinion. And whatever we're passionate about, regardless of whether people are supporting you or not, regardless of whether you hear negative from other people about whatever your passion is, are you going to let the fear keep you and paralyze you and keep you from potentially experiencing something that is life-changing when you're living in your passion? I can't think of anything that is as lovely and wonderful as being passionate about something and you getting a chance to do it. Not about the money, not about it being a career or anything like that. It's just you being able to do what you're passionate about. When Jen draws, she's passionate about drawing, and when she does a project, and I see the look on her face when she's showing it to me. I don't even know if she knows, but she has a light in her eyes when she does something, and I can see that she loves it. And it would be a shame if she allowed her fear to prevent her from doing something. But you can't push someone. You can't push another person to follow their passion. You could do what we're doing tonight, which is by pointing it out and saying, here, this is what you should do. But ultimately, it's everyone's own personal decision whether they're going to follow it or not. Nobody can make you do it. Nobody can hold your hand either. I mean, they can support you, they can encourage you, but in the end, it's your decision what you're going to do. So
Yeah.
what do you think about this last one, Jen? Courage or fear? Maybe courage and fear working together is necessary for us to be who we are. What do you think? Should we conceal or should we reveal?
I think reveal. Is it
Right.
asking if we're going to reveal courage and the fear? And is it to other people or to ourselves?
No, the overall subject is about your passion. So it's should we conceal or reveal our passion? I think
Okay. I just mixed it up. Sorry.
that's okay.
Yeah, I think reveal. I think we can't be fully living until we're somehow somewhat working and operating in our passions. At least some of them. Maybe not all of them, but some of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah. I side with you on the reveal part too. I don't think we should hold back our passions. I think we should live in them if we can. And again, I'm saying that to myself. I'm not doing the best job in every area that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
It's easy for me because I am passionate about having a good relationship, and so I put a lot of time, not a whole lot of effort, because it's easy. It's easy to love you. You're easy to love. You are, so that's not hard for me. But there are other things that it would be harder that I'm passionate about to do, and so how willing am I to do it? That's the question moving
Yeah.
forward. All right, Glenn, you're up on this one. Courage
Yeah.
or fear? Maybe courage and fear working together is necessary for us to be who we are. Should we conceal or should we reveal? What do you think?
Just thinking about this while you were speaking. I heard this in my head as about a person who's passionate or feels passion for another person and would like to potentially be in a relationship with them. I don't think there's anything that could be as impressive as having the courage to reveal your fears to that person and lay yourself on the line.
Yeah.
I think it's incredibly connecting, and I think it takes respect to a whole new level when people are prepared to do that. So I'm a revealer.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. And thank God you are, because I think you're being the type of person that you are. I think it benefits a lot of people. You're being willing to invest time and ask questions and respond in a healthy way, and give people the time of day and show that you're a caring, empathetic person. Your revealing is very beneficial, not just to yourself but to others. And I think that's true about a lot of people. It's just a matter of whether you're going to engage in that or not. So I think that's important. If I could get any point across tonight, that'd be that, is whatever you're passionate about. To set your fear aside, knowing that you are going to be fearful in some ways, but that by engaging in your passion, it won't take long. I promise you, it won't take long until it overrides your fear. Always a good thing. Okay, and then I'll read the quote at the end. I'll read this part. This evening is an introduction, a precursor to our upcoming series of shows, collectively titled An Unfinished Life. I love that title. A paradigm shift from our usual topics, it will be. Please stay tuned as we're dedicating the next shows to a TSL listener. So I'm excited to find out more about that and the shows moving forward. So Glenn's going to be in the driver's seat as far as the next few broadcasts are concerned, which I am very grateful for. I'm about to enter the busy time with one of my jobs, the TurboTax. As many people know, they had the original date being April 15th, and then they extended it to May 15th. So in the month of May, at least in the first couple of weeks, is going to be pretty busy. So I'm getting into that. All right, the last quote. Everything tells me that I am about to make a wrong decision, but making mistakes is just part of life. What does the world want of me? Does it want me to take no risks, to go back to where I came from because I didn't have the courage to say yes to life? Our buddy Gualo. I listened to, Glenn sent me a way to pronounce that, and I am pronouncing it right, but it always, that particular name sounds weird to me.
You know, it's funny. I worked at a camera shop with a guy whose name was spelled this way, but he went by Paolo.
Paolo.
Huh.
Yeah.
Paolo. It's a poem, even in his name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has a lot of good quotes. I've come to know him from Glenn posting his quotes in there.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. All right, guys. So that's it for tonight's topic, and it has been fear and courage, concealed passion. And as Glenn says, it's a precursor to what's to come. So I want to again say, if you have any comments about tonight's broadcast, if you want to answer any of the questions that we've asked in here, it is in the description, and you can leave the comments below the description in the comment section if you'd like to. Also, if you haven't already, please throw us a like our way. And that's not just for our vanity. It's people that are stopping by to look at what our broadcasts are about. The more likes that we have, at least it tells people that somebody likes it. Also, if we're not a big channel, we only have a little over, I think, 260 subscribers, and certainly they don't all listen to the broadcast, I don't think. But we're not trying to be huge. We just want more people to engage with. So if you do like the broadcast, do us a favor and tell your friends and family about it and send them the link. That would be helpful to us. And also, if you want to join us Tuesday evening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, send me an email to my truestorylive.crips@gmail.com and let me know that you want the link, and I will send it to you. And we've had a good time in there, and just kind of getting to know each other more and just talking about whatever. There's no restriction on topics. You can talk about whatever you feel like talking about. And also, if you have any topics that you'd like us to discuss in the future, or if you like what we're doing or don't like what we're doing, we would still enjoy your feedback. If you could take the time to share that with us. Again, just send it to that same email address. And if you have something that you want to leave for Jen or Glenn, just put that in the subject line and I'll make sure they get it. And that's it for us, guys. We hope that you've enjoyed tonight's broadcast, and we'll say goodnight from the panel, starting with Jen. Jen, say goodnight to the peoples.
Good night, peoples. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, guys, and so glad to see somebody new in the chat, Mr. Johnny Makachuk, I think.
Yeah.
And then some people we haven't seen in a while, like Brenda. We haven't seen Brenda in like a year. Brenda, I don't know if she's still hanging out, but it was so great to see you, Brenda, and everybody else in between. Great to spend some time with you guys tonight and chat and discuss. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys, the ones that show up every week, and also the new ones that I see. Kelly and Dean is in there tonight. Welcome back, Kelly. You have been a couple times since we started up again, but we're happy to see you. And she was here from the beginning when we did it before with the huge panels and stuff. We've changed a lot since then, but I like what we're doing. It's been good. I really enjoy it, and I hope you guys do too. Obviously, the people that show up in the chat, obviously you're getting some enjoyment out of it. Oh, one more thing. Stephanie had said, I hate to say it, but I'm keeping everything concealed. I know we're almost done here, but I just wanted to say again, Stephanie, I understand why you're keeping things concealed. You're protecting yourself. You've been hurt a lot, and I get that. And we're praying for you, and we're rooting for you. We know that you're going to get it all worked out, and you working on you is the best thing you can do right now. And that concealing part is a protection right now, but I believe eventually you'll be able to reveal more. I think that's my opinion. All right. Good night, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next Sunday at same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then some of you will will hear you on Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Thanks for listening. Until next week. Hope everyone has a great week, and stay well and stay safe. Good night and God bless.